I want to invite our first speaker, Achinoam Nini, also known as Noah, and Gildol.
Here is the plane, here is the door, here is the boarding pass. Come aboard, you've packed your bags, you've made your choice, you've said goodbye in a tiny voice. So I wait, turn to go, telling myself I won't turn back, bravely going crazy, a smile on the verge of a heart attack. Follow your heart, follow your heart, follow your heart. And I did. I was 16 years old when I decided to leave home and move from New York to Israel for love. I come from a Jewish Yemenite family, born in Israel but raised in the United States from age 2. When I was 15, I was on a summer hiking trip in Israel when I met this amazing young man and fell totally in love with him. From that moment, all I could think about was how to plan my escape, my return, how to convince my parents, how to be with him. This was crazy and totally devoid of logic. I was already really into music and living in the most amazing city in the world for a potentially budding artist. I knew going back to Israel would mean mandatory military service, an identity crisis. I already had a pretty complex identity crisis, a total meltdown of my comfort zone, and yet my heart wouldn't let go of me. Achinoam, Achinoam, it said day and night. You know this is what you gotta do, right? So just do it. And I did. Achinoam, as my heart just told you, is the beautiful name my parents gave me. It means, freely translated, sister of peace. But later in life, as I embarked on an international musical career and understanding Achinoam was just too difficult to say for most people, I took on the name Noah, 3 letters at the heart of Achinoam, with roots in the Bible. Noah was the first feminist in Jewish history, but for me, the name is more significant as an acronym, N-O-A, not only Achinoam. I understood, I guess, from a very young age that together works better, that giving up some of your me to become a we, which are mirror images, is glorious. My heart dances whenever I connect and resonate, and Ashel, that man I fell in love with, which is sitting right over there, was just the beginning. After my military service, I went to study at the Rimon School of Music in Ramat HaSharon, just around the corner from EMIS, by the way. My idea was to form a band. I never wanted to be a star in classical fashion. I wanted a team, a family. I wanted to be Sting and the Police. By the way, years later, I did a whole tour in France with Sting, and I'm going to meet him again in Paris soon. He's amazing. That's another story. So I set out to find my mates. Then I walked into class on the first day, and there was this teacher, and he was talking, and I was totally mesmerized by him. His creativity and his wisdom and his energy and his passion. It was a total and complete wow situation. I mustered courage to ask him to listen to the songs I was writing at the time. Fortunately, he found my songwriting worth encouraging and offered me a student-teacher collaboration in a festival the school was taking part in. I was so thrilled. At the time, I was already being wooed by all kinds of producers, managers, etc. that were offering to invest a lot of money in my career, pushing me to take the so-called fast ticket to stardom. I would later learn that no such thing exists. To forget this collaboration with a musician 17 years my elder, to go for something younger, hipper, etc. Forget my original songwriting, to do some remix covers, take songs from professional pop songwriters, change my hair and the way I dress, pose for the camera, etc., etc. It seemed tempting. Who doesn't want to be a big star? But there was my heart again, nagging. Nah, that's it. Forget that. That's not right, Achinoam. You don't want that. You don't care how successful a mundane pop song could be. You want to create something new. You want to work with a person who can encourage creativity, nurture it, who can join you on this quest for depth and beauty, who is as relentless and passionate as you are and as a perfectionist as you are, who believes in the me, we idea, the team, the family. He's right, my heart, as always. So I said no to all those guys with their big promises, and my heart is like, yeah, you go, girl. And I went with the teacher. I got much more than I bargained for, of course. A partner, a mentor, an amazing musician, a goldmine of music, mind and spirit. I left school that year, but stayed in school for the rest of my life to this day with this great man at my side, my musical collaborating guitarist, Mr. Gildor. Then things started to move really quickly. Gil introduced me to Pat Metheny, one of the world's most amazing musicians, an incredible jazz guitarist and composer, and one of my heroes. I met Pat in New York soon after and left him a recording Gil and I had made earlier that year. He called me later that evening and said one of the songs he heard on that disc was so beautiful he wished he had written it himself. I almost died. I was very happy, of course. And he asked, how can I help you? So I took a breath and said, well, you can produce an album for me. And he did. So Gil and I went to New York. Pat brought his incredible musicians. We started making the album. It was amazing. After the recording, Pat had to go on tour, so we had a few months before we did the mix. And Gil and I came back to Israel and started working on a beautiful project for the Israel Festival in Jerusalem based on the poetry of Rachel and Leah Goldberg. It was a totally artistic idea and everything, so you can imagine our total surprise when one of those songs became a really, really big hit. And this is a recurring theme with us, with all of our hits. They were all accidental. They just happened as we were busy following our heart. So we were performing in Israel in bigger and bigger halls and traveling across the Atlantic to finish the album with Pat. We got signed by Geffen Records. I was getting more and more popular and working really hard. In the middle of all this, I decided to get married. So, yes, yeah, you're saying, like, why, actually? Why? With all these guys falling at your feet and exciting places and things, and be free. Why do you have to wear yourself down? My heart was saying, nah, that guy, the one from the hiking trip, he's the guy for you. Definitely. Unite. And so I did. And we got married, and my heart was dancing. And that's when I started learning to juggle, a 3-ball juggle. Music, matrimony, and a little bit later, motherhood. Once, twice, 3 times, 3 children, 3,000 concerts. 3 is a magic number. Number 1 actually is sitting right there, the older one. By the way, that's another reason I never wanted to sing any song I didn't love or do anything I didn't feel strongly about. How could I justify leaving my loved ones for fluff, for bogus, for yogurt? Some songwriter I once met who would mumble these melodies and write lyrics. He said, that's in yogurt, no problem, right? It's in yogurt. I said, in yogurt? You want me to sing yogurt? But for the other stuff, I was definitely willing. For the lighting of my little flashlight into another hidden corner of the human soul, for creating something, for making the world a better place, for beholding a dance of hearts as music connects people on a higher level. For that, I was willing to sacrifice, and I did. Carrying my kids around the world, nursing them on planes and trains, on many sleepless nights, with the help of my incredible family and friends. The juggling was intense, but it was about to get totally crazy as several monumental events unfolded. On the album Noah that Pat produced, we had recorded an original version of the Bach Gounod Ave Maria. I wrote original lyrics, an ecumenical, almost iconoclastic prayer for peace, and Gil arranged it to sound like a folk song. This song fell into the hands of a man in Italy who was producing an event at the Vatican. So one day we got a call inviting us to perform for an audience of 150,000 people in St. Peter's Square for Pope John Paul II. The first Israelis ever to do so. We were shocked and thrilled. There were voices in Israel calling me to decline this invitation, Jews that were still angry at the church for what it had done to our people over the centuries. But my heart was saying, if this Pope believes in breaking the walls between the religions and collaboration and reaching out, who am I to say no? On the contrary, this is exactly where I want to be. We were subsequently invited 8 times to perform at the Vatican for Pope John Paul, and later for Pope Benedict, and just recently for the wonderful Pope Francis. And my heart, not only dancing, exploding. What an honor to be able to contribute to a shift in consciousness through music, to an expansion of vision, to a broadening of perspective. How thrilling, how right it feels. And so another ball was thrown into my juggling act, the 4th. Not only music, matrimony, and motherhood, but meaning, a mission, a message much greater than myself. A lot of M's in there, M&Ms. And that was just the beginning. The following year, we were invited to perform in another huge event, a peace rally being organized in Tel Aviv to support Yitzhak Rabin and Shimon Peres, Nobel Peace Laureates, as they signed the Oslo Accords. A new horizon for Israel and Palestine. What a joy. When the mayor of Tel Aviv called me to ask if I would sing, it took me 3 milliseconds to say, yes. He was thrilled, as it appeared he'd gotten quite a few no's already, which surprised me, but shouldn't have. I was later to learn any political affiliation is almost taboo for popular artists, but I wasn't thinking in those terms. I was so honored to be able to celebrate peace. The event was the most wonderful and most horrible evening of my life. What began as a joyous celebration of the future ended in enormous tragedy when Yitzhak Rabin was brutally murdered by Yigal Amir, as he descended the very same staircase I myself had walked down just a few minutes earlier. I was devastated. That very night I decided that if this great man could pay with his life for peace, for humanity, for values, for the future of our children, I too would pay a price. I would act, I would speak out, I would carry this torch forward stubbornly and fearlessly. My heart, understanding the ramifications of this decision, bowed its head and nodded in agreement. After that, one thing led to another very quickly, all mixed up, all blurred. Speaking out, refusing to perform in the occupied territory, supporting a two-state solution, threats to my life, concerts canceled, performing at the White House, speaking and singing at the World Economic Forum in Davos, and becoming a global leader of tomorrow, meeting and befriending Quincy Jones and performing in many of his events in New York and Rome and Switzerland, being knighted by the President of Italy, becoming Goodwill Ambassador for the United Nations, working with Nicola Piovani and Roberto Benigni, collaborating with Arab artists around the world like Khaled, Nabil Salame, Rimbana, and more, participating in demonstrations, writing blogs, refusing to receive prizes along racist artists, more hate mail and threats, boycotts, and all the time writing songs, putting my hands in the mud of the soul, flying high above it all like a bird, and back again and again and again, touring, wonderful concert halls, roads, children, juggling while running, juggling on my knees, juggling in my sleep, juggling in my dreams, praying to the God of music and believing with all my heart that it all comes down to love your brother as you love yourself. In 2009, I was approached by the Israeli Eurovision Committee to represent Israel in the Eurovision. I said yes, but I had conditions. I wanted to share the spotlight with Mira Awad, a great Arab-Israeli artist, and we would write the song ourselves in English, Hebrew, and Arabic. And so it was. We were attacked from all sides, those who hate, those who are suspicious and afraid, those who do not believe, and those who have given up. But we also reached CNN, the New York Times, Al Jazeera, BBC Iran, and millions of young people around the world with an incredible message that they could relate to, that they believed in, and they gave us their support. Every one of the hundreds of letters I received at the time from Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, Israel, all over the world, everyone brought tears to my eyes and hope to my heart. They are the treasures I will pass on to my children. Here's part of the song as I wrote it originally in English. Oh, sister, your eyes tell me all my heart really needs to know. Oh, sister, so dear, you and I are here, raising up a voice that is clear. And when I cry for both of us. My pain has no name, and when I cry to the merciless sky and say, there must be another way. There must be another way. There must be another way. Thank you. Thank you. I've followed my heart. Its nagging, dancing, prodding me on has brought me to the most challenging and most spectacular places of my life. And I say to you, all of you great people here, in a crazy world which is so uncertain, with all the technology and the communication and the FOMO and the fear and the uncertain whatnot, with almost preternatural competitiveness, I want to make a case for following your heart, because it's maybe not such a bad idea. So Worst case scenario for following your heart, you're left with your heart. And that's not so bad. You've done something meaningful for yourself or for others, it's worth it all. It's the best thing that could happen to you. And best case scenario, you're left with your heart. Because let's say you succeed and you're really rich and famous now and you've got everything you want, but you don't have your heart. So what is it worth? That's fluff, and we don't want that. That's horrible. And heart, so what does that mean too? I mean, it's not just an organ for pumping blood on a Valentine's card. It's more than that. So heart, as I see it, H for head and humanity and home and humility and hearing, and E for essence and empathy and extension, extending yourself to include everyone. A for art, yay! R for resonance, responsibility, and the road and the road and the road. And T for two, together, time, and most important, for tomorrow. So, dear friends and family that are here, thank you for listening to us. And before we leave, we'd like to sing this song for you. How does my north connect to my south? How does my heart connect to my mouth? How does my skin connect to my soul? Is the sum of my parts anything whole? What do my eyes reveal of my dreams? How can I laugh when inside I scream? How does my song connect to my name? Can they be ever one and the same? And I want you, and I need you, and I need you, and I want you, and I need you, and I wanna set my insides loose, come to terms and sign a truce. If I can't find a mystery code, how will I carry this load? And I want you, and I need you, and I need you, and I want you, and I need you, and I know you're getting tired of the fight to connect my left side with your right, to connect two arms and legs in all four chambers of the heart, and understand forever
so much. That's Gildor. Thank you to Yuval, Yasmin, and all of you. Thank you to Moti. Thank you for having us here. תודה רבה.